the discipline of becoming reliable to yourself. There is a quiet kind of power that does not look exciting at first. It is not loud, flashy, dramatic, or easy to post online in a way that gets instant praise. It is the power of becoming reliable to yourself. It is the ability to make a decision in private and then follow through on it when nobody is watching, when nobody is clapping, and when nobody would know if you quit. Most people spend years trying to become more talented, more motivated, more connected, or more lucky. But often the real breakthrough starts when a person becomes more trustworthy in their own eyes. A lot of people do not fail because they lack potential. They fail because they have trained themselves not to believe their own promises. They say they will wake up early, but they hit snooze. They say they will save money, but they spend emotionally. They say they will work out, but they wait for the perfect mood. They say they will focus, but they keep feeding distraction. Over time, the damage is deeper than the missed workout, the lost money, or the unfinished project. The real damage is that they stop believing themselves. When you no longer trust yourself, every goal becomes heavier. Every plan feels fake before it even begins. Every new attempt starts with hidden doubt because part of you remembers all the other times you made a promise and abandoned it. This is why some people feel exhausted before they even start. They are not just carrying the challenge in front of them. They are carrying the memory of their own inconsistency. They are trying to build a future while dragging the emotional weight of broken self-agreements behind them. But the good news is this: self-trust can be rebuilt. It does not require perfection, and it does not happen through one giant moment. It happens through repeated evidence. You rebuild trust in yourself the same way trust is built in any relationship. You say something, and then you do it. You make a commitment, and then you honor it. You stop speaking to yourself in dramatic promises and start proving your character through action. Little by little, you become someone your own mind can believe again. That process changes everything. Once you start trusting yourself, your confidence becomes more solid. Your decisions become cleaner. Your focus becomes stronger. You stop needing constant motivation because you have built something more dependable than emotion. You have built a personal standard. And a personal standard is more powerful than a temporary mood because it stays in place even on the days when you do not feel inspired. It gives structure to your choices when your feelings are unstable. Many people think confidence comes first and action comes second. In reality, action often comes first. Confidence is usually the reward for doing what you said you would do. If you keep waiting to feel confident before you begin, you may wait forever. Confidence is not usually found in thought. It is forged in proof. It is built in the moment you keep going when you do not feel like it, in the moment you finish what you started, in the moment you refuse to negotiate with the weaker version of yourself. Think about how this works in daily life. If you tell yourself you're going to wake up at 6 and you do it for 10 straight days, something changes inside you. You begin to feel different, not because the time itself is magical, but because you are witnessing your own consistency. If you tell yourself you are going to stop scrolling and instead spend 30 minutes reading, writing, training, or planning, and then you actually do it, you feel different. You begin to respect yourself more. You stop seeing yourself as someone who only talks. Self-respect is not created by affirmations alone. Words can help, but words without action can actually become another form of self-deception. If you tell yourself every day that you are strong, disciplined, and focused, but your actions keep saying otherwise, your mind eventually stops listening. It starts treating your own inner speech like background noise. That is why some people repeat powerful ideas yet still feel powerless. Their words are not backed by evidence. Their mind has learned to trust behavior more than slogans. This is why one kept promise can matter more than 100 motivational thoughts. One completed workout, one finished chapter, one clean day of discipline, one moment of saying no to what is easy and yes to what matters. These moments may seem small, but they are not small to your identity. They are messages. They are signals sent to your own nervous system that say, I can count on myself. And when that message starts getting repeated often enough, your life begins to reorganize around it. You do not need to become extreme overnight. In fact, one of the fastest ways to destroy self-trust is to demand too much too soon. Some people get inspired and create a perfect fantasy schedule. They decide they will wake up at 5, train twice a day, cut out all bad habits, read 50 pages daily, launch a business, save most of their income, and never waste time again. That plan may look impressive for one evening, but if it is built on fantasy instead of reality, it collapses quickly. Then the person feels even worse because they have once again shown themselves that they do not follow through. A better path is humbler, but stronger. Start with promises you can keep. Not easy promises, but honest promises. Promises that require effort, yet fit the life you actually live right now. If you have been inconsistent for years, your first goal is not to impress yourself. Your first goal is to restore credibility. That may mean promising yourself 10 minutes of focused work instead of 2 perfect hours. It may mean 3 workouts a week instead of 7. It may mean putting your phone away for 1 hour each evening instead of trying to become a monk overnight. The point is not to stay small forever. The point is to build a foundation that can carry more weight later. A house built on weak ground collapses under pressure. A life built on unreliable habits does the same. Before you chase bigger dreams, become someone who can hold them. Before you demand massive results, develop the character that can sustain them. The glamorous part of success often gets attention, but the invisible foundation underneath it is reliability. People who become exceptional usually became consistent long before they became impressive. There will be days when this feels simple, and days when it feels brutal. Some mornings your routine will feel natural. Other mornings it will feel like moving through wet cement. Some days your mind will cooperate. Other days it will try to bargain, delay, excuse, and rationalize. This is normal. Discipline is not proven on the days when everything feels easy. Discipline is revealed on the days when you are tempted to abandon your own standards. That is where identity is shaped. That is where self-trust is either weakened or strengthened. One of the most important skills you can build is the ability to interrupt the inner negotiation. That voice that says, "Start tomorrow, skip just this once, you deserve a break, this does not matter, one day will not hurt." Sometimes rest is wise, and sometimes that voice is simply trying to protect you from discomfort. The problem is that if you obey it too often, it trains you to become fragile. It teaches you that every uncomfortable feeling is a command. But feelings are not commands. They are experiences. You can feel resistance and still act with integrity. This is where maturity begins. Maturity is not just knowing the right thing. It is doing the right thing when the emotional reward is delayed. Children want immediate relief. Growth requires tolerating temporary discomfort for long-term peace. Reliability is born in those moments. When you do what matters instead of what feels easiest, you create internal strength. You teach your mind that you are not controlled by impulses alone. You prove that you can lead yourself. And self-leadership is one of the rarest forms of power in the modern world. The world makes unreliability easy. Distraction is always available. Excuses are socially accepted. People can say they want greatness while living in constant avoidance, and nobody stops them. It is easy to be busy without being effective. It is easy to look engaged while staying stagnant. It is easy to confuse consumption with progress. You can watch clips about discipline, listen to podcasts about winning, save quotes about success, and still build nothing. Information can inspire you, but it cannot replace execution. At some point, you must stop studying the path and walk it. Walking it is often unglamorous. It looks like repeating simple actions until they become part of who you are. It looks like making your bed when no one sees it. It looks like finishing boring tasks on time. It looks like honoring the budget. It looks like showing up to train even when the workout is not exciting. It looks like closing the apps, putting the phone down, opening the document, and doing the work. It looks like a person becoming solid, and a solid person can build a solid life. You also need to understand that setbacks do not erase progress unless you let them. One missed day is not failure. One bad week is not the end. What destroys many people is not the mistake itself, but the story they attach to it. They slip once and decide they are back to being the old version of themselves. They miss a workout and then disappear for 2 weeks. They overspend one day and then stop trying to budget at all. They get distracted one evening and then surrender the whole month. That response is more damaging than the original mistake. Reliable people are not perfect people. They are people who return quickly. They know how to reset without drama. They do not make every setback into an identity crisis. They acknowledge the miss, correct the course, and move forward. They have learned that falling off does not have to become falling apart. That mindset matters because long-term consistency is built by people who recover well, not by people who never struggle. The strongest person is often not the one who never breaks rhythm. It is the one who refuses to stay broken when rhythm is lost. Another key part of becoming reliable to yourself is keeping your environment honest. Do not expect constant discipline from a life designed for distraction. If your phone is always near you, your notifications are on, your schedule is vague, your sleep is chaotic, your room is messy, your finances are untracked, and your goals are undefined, you are forcing yourself to fight uphill every day. Discipline matters, but design matters too. Sometimes the strongest move is not increasing willpower. Sometimes it is removing friction and reducing temptation. Make it easier to be your stronger self. Put the tools where you can reach them. Lay out your clothes the night before. Keep junk distractions out of reach. Decide in advance what time you train, work, rest, and review. Write things down. Stop trusting memory for things that matter. Create cues that support your standards. Build systems that reduce decision fatigue. A powerful life is rarely built on endless heroic decisions. It is often built on quiet systems that keep you aligned when your energy is low. There's also something deeper happening in this journey. When you become reliable to yourself, your relationship with time changes. You stop living only for immediate pleasure and start respecting future consequences. You realize that your future self is not a stranger. It is still you. The person you become next month, next year, and 5 years from now is being shaped by the choices you make today. Every ignored responsibility is handed to that future version of you. Every act of discipline is also handed to that future version of you. You are always sending something forward. So ask yourself, what am I sending forward right now? Am I sending strength or weakness? Am I sending clarity or chaos? Am I sending momentum or delay? Am I handing my future self a cleaner life or a heavier one? This question can change the way you move. It can make ordinary decisions feel meaningful again. Skipping the mindless scroll, doing the hard call, making the healthier choice, finishing the task, going to sleep on time, saving the money, practicing the skill, all of that becomes more powerful when you remember that you are not just acting for today. You are shaping the person who will have to live with these decisions later. Reliability also changes your outer relationships. People trust those who follow through. Opportunities tend to flow toward people who are dependable. Employers, clients, partners, friends, and teammates all feel the difference between someone who means well and someone who can be counted on. Many people try to become more charismatic, but reliability is often more valuable than charm. A dependable person creates safety. A dependable person lowers chaos. A dependable person becomes an asset in every room they enter. And that begins privately. Public reliability grows out of private discipline. If you are careless with your own commitments, that carelessness eventually leaks into other areas. But if you become serious about your own word, others start feeling it too. You carry yourself differently. You speak more carefully because you do not want to make empty promises. You choose fewer goals, but you complete more of them. You stop performing ambition and start practicing it. That difference is felt. It creates quiet authority. Some people have spent so long being inconsistent that they think discipline belongs to a different type of person. They imagine that reliable people were just born that way. But reliability is not a gift given to a lucky few. It is a pattern trained through repetition. Every person who is dependable today had to practice dependability at some point. They had to keep showing up. They had to keep returning. They had to do the boring work long enough for it to become part of their nature. That means you can build it too. Start now, not dramatically, but sincerely. Choose one promise that matters and keep it. Then keep it again tomorrow. Let your word become heavier. Let your standards become calmer and stronger. Stop chasing the emotional high of starting over and begin earning the quieter reward of continuity. Your life does not need another dramatic restart nearly as much as it needs a stretch of honest follow-through. The most powerful reset is often not a huge breakthrough. It is a decision to finally become consistent. Become the kind of person who finishes the walk after saying you will walk. Become the kind of person who opens the book after saying you will read. Become the kind of person who trains after saying you will train. Become the kind of person who saves after saying you will save. These moments seem small, but they are votes for a new identity. They are evidence. They are proof. They are bricks. And eventually, enough bricks create something strong enough to stand on. One day you may look back and realize that your life did not change because of one giant event. It changed because you stopped abandoning yourself. It changed because you learned to respect your own word. It changed because you became reliable in private. And from that private integrity came public results, better habits, better health, better focus, better finances, better opportunities, better peace. Not because life became easy, but because you became steadier. So the real question is not whether you are capable of big things. You probably are. The real question is whether you are willing to become the kind of person who can be trusted with them. Can you trust yourself to do what matters when the mood is gone? Can you trust yourself to keep your promises without applause? Can you trust yourself to return after mistakes? Can you trust yourself to choose what builds rather than what numbs? That is the path. That is the work. That is the transformation. And once you begin walking that path, something beautiful happens. You stop needing to constantly wonder who you are. Your actions start answering the question for you. You become a person of substance, a person of follow-through, a person with inner weight, a person who can look in the mirror without making excuses, a person whose confidence is earned, a person whose peace is built, not borrowed. A person who is no longer waiting to be saved by motivation because they have become guided by character. That is the discipline of becoming reliable to yourself. It is quiet, but it is powerful. It is simple, but it is life-changing. It is demanding, but it creates freedom. And if you practice it long enough, it will do more than improve your habits. It will rebuild your identity. It will turn your word into something solid. It will make your future less fragile. It will teach you that one of the greatest forms of success is not just building a better life, but becoming someone you can finally depend on.